Well, there we are. It's been quite a summer in every sense for Crystal Palace. It's going to be a very eventful last few days too, by the looks of things. As you can see, Rob Dorset, Kaveh Solikol alongside me. Kaveh, time running out then for Marc Guehi to make his move. What's the latest?
Well, there's lots of talk that Marc Guehi could end up being a Liverpool player before the window closes. The situation is that no new approach has been made for Marc Guehi yet. So as things stand, he's still a Crystal Palace player, and he's preparing for Crystal Palace's really important European playoff game in Norway on Thursday night. Now, he's turned down the offer of a new contract, and he's in a really, really strong position. Of course, he's aware that Liverpool are interested in signing him, and I think if the price was right, Crystal Palace would let him go if they can sign a replacement. And we know they're in the market to try and sign a replacement. And the reason I say he's in a really strong position is because he knows in January he could sign an agreement with a foreign club, because he'll be a free agent next summer. And the kind of clubs we're talking about are clubs of the calibre of Real Madrid, Barcelona, Juventus. Those could all be options for him in January. That's why I think, compared to some of the other players who are very unhappy with their situations and are trying to force through a move, Marc Guehi is not in that boat at all. He is very happy at Crystal Palace until he's told that the situation has changed.
It's a really interesting one, Carver, isn't it? Because you and I have both been working on this story, and I think it's pretty clear that there's quite a lot of power in Marc Guehi's hands here. I think both clubs have kind of backed off for him to decide what he wants to do, is the impression I get from talking to people. And so, and I think he's a little bit conflicted about what he wants to do, because he has an incredible loyalty to Crystal Palace. They've given him an opportunity that got him into the England squad, and so he isn't absolutely convinced that now is the right time to leave, when he's got all those options that Carvey's talking about next summer as well. But of course, Liverpool is a huge football club, and he will clearly be very excited at that prospect.
Yeah, absolutely. Carvey, if Guehi does go, does that pave the way for Manuel Akanji to go to Palace?
Well, look, I think he's a player who Palace are interested in. He may leave Manchester City before the window closes, but clubs like Galatasaray are also interested in him. So if he was to leave, I mean, it's a big step down. When you leave Manchester City, you leave the Champions League. I'm not sure at this stage of his career would he want to go from Manchester City to Crystal Palace, for instance. But they are definitely looking in the market. A lot of agents are aware of the fact that Crystal Palace want to sign another centre-back. And the reason they want to sign another centre-back is because they don't want to lose Marc Guehi for nothing next summer. I think some people at Crystal Palace would be happy for him to stay and leave for nothing next summer. I think some people at the club think, let's get another season out of him, and he's happy to stay. But I think if you speak to sort of agents and intermediaries, a lot of people are working on potentially trying to get a centre-back into Crystal Palace. Just
with all these kind of angles on Marc Guehi, is it a risk for him to be playing Thursday night? Because whenever it moves are getting close and deadlines are approaching, he's got a plastic pitch in Norway, I understand, on Thursday night, and we don't know what can happen.
Well, we had the sort of whole on-off situation with Ebre Eze. If you remember, a week ago? Seems like a lifetime ago, but a week ago there was talk that he was going to go to Spurs, but that deal was held up because Crystal Palace wanted him to play against Fredrikstad in the first leg at Selhurst Park. And then when he agreed a deal with Arsenal, he didn't play in that game because Oliver Glasner said he didn't feel right mentally and physically. But I think the Guehi situation is different because he's happy to play. He knows he's a Crystal Palace player until he's told differently. Now, it is a little bit of a risk for Crystal Palace, of course, because if they are planning on selling him after the game on Thursday, then, as you say, playing on a plastic pitch in Norway maybe could be a little bit tricky. But I think Marc Guehi's got a very good injury record, and it's not the kind of plastic pitches that you and I were used to when we were kids. I think they're a bit more advanced and developed.
Rob, Carve mentions Eberechi Eze, of course, who's gone now to Arsenal. That money is there to be spent. They obviously were talking about wanting replacements before he went. Bilal Khannouss looked like that might be happening. Understands you've been digging around, dead in the water.
Yeah, we've just broken this story in the last 20 minutes or so on Sky Sports News. My understanding was that Leicester and Palace were very close to doing a deal for Bilal Khannouss at around £32 million. But then it just stalled a little bit last week with discussions over a structure of payments. And since then, Leicester have sold James Justin to Leeds and Casey McAteer to Ipswich. And I've been told that has cleared their PSR concerns, and so they now don't need to sell. And so that's changed the ballpark entirely from Leicester City's perspective. And I'm told, from their perspective, the deal to take El Khannouss to Selhurst Park is now dead. And Crystal Palace are looking at other potential options to replace Eberechi Eze. I mean, look, Palace had indicated they were prepared to pay £32 million potentially for El Khannouss in a structured deal. I'm now being told that Leicester are adamant they want £35 million and they want that up front. Because they don't need to sell now. Their circumstances have changed. So, look, that's just hot off the press. We'll see how that develops over the coming hours. But at the moment, it looks that one is dead.
Do you think if he stays at Leicester, would he be able to be reintegrated into the first-team squad? Because Martin Cifuentes was saying that he's not mentally right. His head's been turned a little.
Well, that's really interesting because he didn't play on Saturday in Leicester's win over Charlton, and a lot of people felt that the fact that he hadn't been included in the squad suggested that he's clearly going to Palace. They've rested him. They don't want him to get injured. Not so, as I understand it. You're right in Cifuentes feeling that his head wasn't right. His head had been turned by Crystal Palace. I don't see any problem in bringing it back in. I think he wasn't really agitating for a move as such. He was just a little bit, how do we say, conflicted, I suppose. It's perhaps the best way to say it when a Premier League club came in for him and the chance to play. We think that'll move on. I suspect they'll bring him back into the fold.